Does traditional education deliver or fall short in educating and nurturing children? Introducing Aligned Learning Revolution, the show that confronts conventional norms and presents dynamic alternatives to transform education. Host Kaila Sivas tackles the foundational issues within classroom walls and advocates for holistic learning opportunities. It's time to reveal the strength of the innovative, holistic NeuroGrowth learning approach that goes beyond conventional teaching or tutoring methods, assuring every learner of a stress-free learning journey to unlock their fullest potential. Now, join Kohila Sivas.
Today, I have the pleasure to introduce our holistic neurogrowth learning success coach, Lori Boiler, an esteemed educator with over 2 decades of experience. She has positively impacted the lives of more than 1,500 students, including her own anxious and dyslexic child. Armed with a master's degree in instructional design and technology, as well as Waldorf education, Lori's passion lies in empowering students and nurturing their love for learning. Specializing in STEAM, reading, writing, English as a second language, design thinking skills, and life skills, Lori's rich subject matter expertise ensures a comprehensive and insightful educational experience. Her dedication to personalized learning is evident through the development of proven strategies tailored to individuals' needs, fostering the growth of effective independent learners. Let's welcome Lori. Hi, Lori. Welcome to our show today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Kohila?
Very, very good. So tell me that you've been a teacher for what, 20 years? 22 years. 22?
Yeah. I'm starting to lose count, but 20, just over 20 years. Yeah.
20 years. Awesome. Thank you for your service.
Thank
We
you.
have to celebrate teachers.
It's
important. Just like any other service, teachers give a lot. Like I've met so many teachers, like 45 years.
Jeez.
Amazing.
That
Amazing,
is amazing.
right?
That is
You know,
amazing.
amount of patient a teacher has to go through to be a 45 years of service, because teaching is all about patience.
Right.
So much
Yeah.
patience. So tell me, how is teaching for you right now in the school system? How is it going?
It's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. I've taught in different types of schools and in different formats, and kind of every age possible. And I think it's getting harder. Obviously, it's getting harder. You know, the kids that I teach don't seem to be as respectful as I remember them 20 years ago. Parents, I think, are tired, and they don't communicate as much and expect a lot more. And it almost feels as if children have been given so many freedoms at home, or maybe it's because of post-COVID, but they just aren't really being held as accountable as certainly I was when I was a kid, or as the kids that I used to teach years ago. So I think that's one aspect of it. Plus,
I think you nailed it. I like that, the word you just said. That's what it is. We're not keeping accountable the student. Yeah. It's beautiful. But I didn't recognize that word associated with that. Yeah, we'll come back to it. Keep going. So the accountability.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing that frustrates me, and I know my colleagues for sure, is the amount of paperwork that we have to do to prove that we are good teachers. Is kind of a bizarre twist, right? So we're teaching, but the observations and the paperwork and the I don't know, just to prove that we are good at what we do, is really challenging to teachers. It takes away from our lesson planning. It takes away from the relationships we'd like to build with our administrators or with the students in the classroom. That makes it hard, right? So we are good teachers, but because we have so many baskets we have to fill, it just completely drains us. So I think that's why I'm having a hard time in the classroom right now.
Mm. Yeah, it's really important that we talk about this because, if I'm a parent, I only have the perspective, what I see from my end is that
Right.
I'm sending my child to school. Teachers are not doing enough because he's still failing or he's not interested and lack of motivation. And then if I look at it from the child's mind, I don't see what's the point of doing all this, right? So everybody have their own lenses they're looking through. And this show is all about, looking from other people's perspective so we can all come together because that's the only way to bring this in alignment to serve our students, our kids are the most precious person in this equation, right? Out of all of these people, they need to be protected. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that accountability. So how do you think we can bring back accountability in our students? Okay.
Good question. I think the way I try to do it is by, like you just said, giving them more real world experiences and giving them experiences that help them feel more accountable. Think of another word, but experiences that, for example, time management, being in control of their time management rather than someone controlling it for them, and then them when they do it, seeing that success and being like, oh, I got this, I can do this. Or organizational skills, can they organize themselves? Can they show up to class in time and prepared? And have they studied for the test that they know is coming today rather than, oh my gosh, what I hear so often, we have a test today, so just that really those life skills, those soft skills is what I call them, right? And the ability to manage yourself, I think will help them feel more accountable for their learning and their self-esteem even, right? So they will feel more successful if they are in control of their learning. And I'm talking, I mean, I teach middle schoolers right now, so I'm really kind of focused on that age group right now. But even when I taught, gosh, preschoolers, even when I taught that young, I would still help them be accountable for all the little things preschoolers need to know, right? So sitting upright in a chair, holding a fork, eating properly, what's a healthy diet? How can you control what you eat? And there's so many ways I think that sometimes we just take it away from them. It's just we do it for them because it's a lot easier. I'll just do it. I'll just manage your time, or I'll manage your schedule, or I'll manage, reminding you about your homework, or and not giving them that control. So that's what I really enjoy doing, is giving students the bigger picture, like this is what the real world is like. And so this is what you need to prepare yourself in order to be successful and back to accountable. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you were talking, it's just coming to me that maybe they're not in control of what they want to learn.
Right. Right.
So
That's
they just check themselves up.
mhm.
I used to be like that too, right? When I didn't understand math, I didn't see the point of learning it. I would daydream.
Mhm.
So if you
Me
were
too.
to hold me accountable at that time, there was no accountability on my part. I
Right.
was just
Right.
there as a body in the classroom pretending that no one asked me questions.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
can
me
pretend
too.
to write a lot, copy the textbook at least or something. So, doodle on the book. So yeah, I think it's because they don't have that choice and they don't see connections to what they're learning. So I always bring down to this example, right? If you have a store, you have all these merchandise and the customers are not buying those. And if you keep putting it in that store, the same merchandise again and again, even though the customers are not buying it,
Mhm.
it's kind of silly to do that in a storefront at a store, right? Because why would you keep putting the same thing again? No one's buying it. You're going to have to change your merchandise, right?
Right.
So maybe in the classroom, we're doing this thing where the students are not buying it anymore, but we're still putting the same thing in front of them to learn. We need to change it. We need to change up. We need to give what they're looking for. And we're not doing it yet in the classroom. So that's why they're not accountable. They don't think of what we're teaching as important to them, right? Then
Right.
you get to check you will just check yourself out and you just want to do other things.
One thing I'm finding though that they really do like, just talking about the store, is the student choice. So when I teach my project-based lessons, very STEM-based lessons, I always give them choice, right? So you kind of, here's the big picture, but choose something in there. And then we reflect at the end of the project. We always reflect, and always they say, my favorite part of the project was having a choice, a voice. I got to do what I wanted to do. And so within that framework, that's what I love, is that they do get that choice. So it's, the storefront, but it's like you get to pick and choose your own candy at the store or whatever. So
autonomy. They want autonomy.
They love that.
Yeah, we're not giving it in the classroom. And 90 minutes in a classroom when you don't have a choice, you just have to sit and listen. Easy to lose yourself into whatever you want to do versus what you don't want to do, which is listening to the teacher, right?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So it's definitely, they're telling us something. So it's never the student's fault. Even in a bad day, I always told myself it's never the student's fault. If they're checking themselves out, if they're not listening to us, if they're showing us behaviors, it's never their fault. What is it that we need to do so that they don't do those things? So we're not doing something, or we're doing something that's creating that chaos, right?
Right.
Knowingly, not intentionally, but it could be the system, it could be how curriculums need to be delivered, it could be how we need to test them, all of these things. So lots of. So tell me about your business as a holistic neurogrowth learning success coach. You decided to do this because why?
I'm ready to leave the classroom, right? And have more freedom. And one of the big reasons is I'd like to have more time with my son, who's turning 13 in a few weeks. And I've always been kind of the mom that's really occupied with my other 90 kids, right? My other students. And so I'm constantly working on, like you said, developing lessons, making things more engaging, making sure that I'm the teacher that they don't hopefully check out for. And, so it takes a lot of time to do that for all my students. And my son has been in the background, so I'd like more time with him as he gets older and starts to move on. But
let me ask you this before we move on, because I want parents who are listening to get an idea of a teacher's life, right? Because as I said, that parents can only look from their lens, right? It's not, let's look at from a teacher's lens. So how many hours a week do you work as a single mom?
Oof. I would say when I first started teaching, it was easily 50 or 60 hours a week. Easy. Now it's probably, I'd say probably closer to 50 for sure. There's the regular teaching where you can't really do any lesson planning or anything. So then you have your evenings and weekends, which are spent lesson planning, communicating with parents, paperwork that the school requires. So it's easily, I don't know how anyone could do it for under 50 hours a week for sure. And that's me, seasoned, getting kind of systems in place already. So it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. So my day basically is, get ready for work, get there by 7, work until 4, and then come home, pick up my kid from his after school program, which he's tired of going to, and then cook dinner, and then work probably from 6 or so until 9, and then work on most of the weekends, probably 5 or 6 hours on the weekends. So it does take time.
Yeah. And as a single mom, you're missing out on your son's life a lot as well. So
a lot. Yeah, I have to get support from other family members for sure.
So tell me, so as a learning success coach, you wanted to set up this business for what reasons?
So just to have the freedom of, like I said, being with my son, have the freedom of a bit more financial freedom for sure. That was very very enticing for me because as you said before, teachers don't get paid what they are worth. And I think one of my first years, I actually did the math on the 60 hours I was working and the low pay. I think I was getting paid like $8 an hour if you averaged out, right?
Yeah.
Divided my salary by the hours and um $8 an hour, and that just felt kind of normal, and I'm shocked about that. So
Yeah, it's too
you know,
low.
it's
It's too
right.
not
It's
enough, especially you're a single mom, it's not enough, right? So teachers don't make, that's what it is. Teachers don't make enough money to, survive. And
right.
that's not right either, right? It's not right because you put so much, effort like anyone else into education to learn your trades and expertise. Year after year, you're, differentiating for students, doing so much. It's not enough for a lot of teachers. Yeah. Some
Yeah,
people are working for 20, 25,000 a year, 30,000 a year. That's not in this day and age. It's
I
it's
know.
it's not enough. It's not enough. So tell me, what did you name your business? What is it called, and why did you call that name?
So I called it Nexus Success Coaching. So I chose that name because actually my son helped me. I thought, what could I name my business? And he said, well, Mom, just go to Alexa and ask to have your business named a Latin name or something. And that's what everyone's doing these days. And
Good
I thought, well,
advice.
okay. So he and I played with Alexa and came up with, I don't know if it was from her or from my own research, but the meaning of nexus just seemed to fit really nice because I'm also a weaver and I do a lot of handwork. I do a lot of knitting. I do creative stuff. Well, that was the other thing I didn't say why I wanted to also become a coach is I feel so creative and I feel so inspired when I'm not in the classroom, right? On summer vacations or winter vacation. I just feel like my creative energy is so alive and I love that feeling about myself. So I like to go and do some of my handwork stuff. So anyway, this weaving together is really what Nexus is all about. It's a way that I wrote about it in one of my blog posts was it's a central hub where students, teachers, curriculum, technology, and the community converge in a synergistic manner. And the fundamentally contributing to the creation of a holistic learning environment, a weaving together of all of those together in one place. So that's why I chose Nexus because it's just such a nice, a, a
It ties
nice,
everything together for you.
right, tying things together, weaving things together, and also what I do. So what my new business is weaving parents and children and methodologies and community and technology, the curriculums that I've learned. So all of that is coming together to create the best learning environment for these kids.
Absolutely. And you are coaching what kind of programs in your coaching business?
Well, I'm really passionate about, as I've said earlier, I'm really passionate about hands-on learning and project-based learning and STEAM, STEM, but you put the A in there because I really like the art side. That's my background is art. Um, and I feel passionate about that. And I feel passionate because it touches on all of the core subjects, right? Science, technology, art, math. And it also hits on reading and writing. And so everything gets covered in these project-based projects that we do. And I just love it. It excites me. It's fun. I call myself a Jill of all trades. You know that saying, a jack of all trades. So I
Yes.
call myself a Jill of all trades. So I get excited when kids want to try different things that make us hit our soft skills. So that's the other thing that really is interesting to me
Mm.
is the problem solving and the critical thinking and the creative thinking and then the communication skills and the collaboration skills. So I see STEM projects and project-based learning as really touching on a lot of what parents are looking for and what kids are interested in and what keeps them engaged. And it's exciting to me. So that's definitely one of my big offerings. Of course, I'm done a lot of reading and writing teaching and a lot of training in that area. So I definitely work on reading and writing as another area that we could focus on if project-based. Some kids just don't like projects. So, but really need to focus on reading and writing as their core, because obviously we can't go far without that. Other ones I like to focus on are, again, the soft skills. So a lot of what learning success coaches do, all of us do, right, are working on the creative thinking, the collaboration, the problem solving, the life skills, time management, organization skills. So that's also, I like to call them the soft skills. So that's another one that I'm focusing on.
There's no way you can teach kids anything else if you don't have those all in alignment.
I know. Yeah.
Right? There's no way they can take any content, because that's the problem with it, is that we're pushing content when students are not ready to receive the content.
Right. Right.
And so
Right.
it's like stuffing a pillowcase, right? Like you cannot stuff anymore. It's too full because it doesn't want anymore. So we can't stuff students like that. We need them to want it. They should gravitate towards the information, not just push it into them. They're not
Right.
going to want it. And then that's why we have behaviors, and that's why parents are, seeing behaviors, because we're not attracting them to what they want to learn. And it's really beautiful because in project-based, we can bring out so much interest, as you said, from the students, right? Because they get excited with these projects. So now when you have an excited student, you can bring in their interest, they get more excited, then they start, as you said, critical thinking shows up, creativity shows up, curiosity shows up. Yes, through all of those, they gain confidence.
And I will also say that I really love teaching children the perseverance. That's what I'm looking for. The perseverance that project-based learning really focuses on, because you got to keep going, and it will probably not work out.
Yeah.
And so they have to persevere, and they have to really. A lot of kids just want to give up these days, right? It's too hard. They're so used to just kind of scrolling, and like answers are fast, and if they can't find their answer right away, they'll just scroll and find something else. But the perseverance that comes with these projects is another huge life skill that I also like seeing the kids go through that process. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, perseverance, determination. Yeah. I love those things. And then when they get their, like the light bulb moment, where like they figure it out.
Yeah.
It's exciting because I did it. I figured it out. So it's
I
beautiful.
love that moment. I do. And they are so happy to get there too. They're like, oh, I did this, back to that, accountability again. It's like, oh, I did this. I can do this. I'm capable. I can do this.
Absolutely. So let's, because parents are listening, so let's give them some tips on if they have a child who's not into STEM, like how can a child be encouraged to, look into STEM, or is it something that they have to come up with their own? Like, can parents push them into STEM? Learn STEM programs, go into STEM programs, let's do project-based learning.
In the years that I've been teaching, and I teach currently right now STEM programs to kids, I have almost never met a child that doesn't want to do this type of learning. So I would say, for parents, it's a little hard because they have to, I think my passion helps bring a lot of their interest out. So for parents to have either the time or the supplies or the willingness to persevere as well on a project, that does take time. I know it does. But I think there are a lot of kits out there, and there's a lot of ready-made things they could buy that are not terribly hands-on, that sorry, I shouldn't say hands-on, that aren't terribly time-consuming, that parents could introduce their kids to STEM activities and work with them on those
Start with
projects.
smaller project that's not too much time consuming, so get them interested in.
Right. And I think every parent has had some hands-on projects in their life, right? That they could always go back to, like, let's make a cootie catcher together. There's a lot of math and science involved in just making, a cootie catcher, those little, or some people call them
Oh, the squares
fortune teller.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's little things that parents have done as kids you can even do in a restaurant as you're sitting there waiting for dinner. So, but just talking about, you don't have to say, this is a STEM project. You can say, let's just make this. And wow, look at these hexagons we've just folded. And look at this, and you could start talking about some of the simple geometry that's involved. So it doesn't have to be labeled as, okay, we're going to sit down and do a STEM project, but I think just anything that's hands-on, and like I said, just giving student choice. Baking is a huge STEM one, right? That's huge. So there's lots of things out there that parents do that they probably don't even realize it.
Yes, absolutely. You don't label it like that, right? It's just
Right.
being we did. But what about this technology and phones and all this usage of for students? Is it healthy, unhealthy? How much should they be using? What's your take on it?
Oh boy.
What's a healthy thing for your son? Like, what do you do with your son? Do you give him like 13, right? You said your son.
Right.
How do you manage it at your house?
At my house, he's on it quite a bit. Just because he's dyslexic and he has anxiety. And the technology, playing the video games has worked his anxiety, has helped him with his anxiety because he has to work through, like, losing or getting frustrated, or the technology doesn't work. So his anxiety he's had to work through that. And the games help him kind of regulate his anxiety, believe it or not.
That's good. That's good. You're telling us another perspective, because this is what it is. That's why we have to find that fine balance, right? Like, we have to find the right balance. But it's in your case, because if I asked something this to another person, they would have said, no, it actually harms. But you're telling me somewhere it's being used actually in a healthy way for him. Yes, keep going.
For him, it's helped. And it's also helped because of his dyslexia. He still can't read yet. So it's pretty severe. He's going to a therapist, but he can't read, but he's very good at fine motor skills and playing these games. So his friends that can read really well, he can still stay on the same plane as them and have these great friends, not like hide in a closet and be like, I can't read and I'm not good, but he can shine with these games that he can compete with his friends. No, he can't read all the chatting, and that's fine by me, because I don't really want him to read all the chatting and all that, but he can compete and he can feel so confident. And so those two areas have really helped him blossom, honestly. And I am a tech teacher, so technology for me, I feel like has its benefits for sure, But a tip I would say for parents, as a teacher and a mother, but as a teacher mostly of many, 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 many students, tech has to stop at the bedroom. I think that, students need their sleep. And I've seen way too many students come in just dragging, and it really harms their cognitive skills. And it harms their ability to learn effectively. And I just, they just play until 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning and then get up at 6 or 7 or 8 to come to school. That's just not enough sleep for a little growing brain, right? Our brains don't mature until we're about 25, 26. So these young children are not getting the maturity, not to mention, like I said, the chats aren't necessarily, I don't think, the healthiest thing that are out there in some of these games. So what they're receiving as a lot of negative, I hear them talk about, so and so is saying this about me last night, and so that's harming them too. So I think
Balance.
technology has to stop at bedtime.
Yeah. And also balance of how much can we use and how much and when to use it, how to use it. I mean,
Yeah.
though I always say, like, you have to have a value. You have to have some household values that you all follow. Everyone follows, so it's not just for the child, but the parents also follow too. So it makes it easier, right? So for us, for my son, he can't have his phone inside his bedroom. I have a big thing about that, because you won't let anybody come into your front door and just say, go visit my son, would you? Like open and say, go and visit my son gladly. He's upstairs. That's his room over there, right? We won't do that, right? Some stranger comes and opens the door. We open the door and he says, can I go to your son's room? Would I let him in or her in? Never.
Right.
But in the phone, the whole world is visiting our kids inside their bedroom. The whole world. I cannot see that happen. It's almost, for me, it's almost like letting some stranger into my house and saying, go upstairs and see my son upstairs.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, but yeah, it's true. It is true. And
You have the whole world. And it's not because I don't trust my son. I have said this before in my episode. I trust my son. I trust every kid. Every child can be trusted. They're innocent. It's the phone that I don't trust. This thing here that we call it phone has the world in it. They have the world in their hands, and anything can show up on that phone, and anything, and they don't need to deal with that either, right? It's something that, why they have to deal with that. And after a certain hour, they should go to bed, as you said. They should get good sleep. And these things, well, if they're in their room, it's bothering them. It's a noise that needs to go away.
I know. And the texts, or even if they're trying to go to sleep, then they get the notifications or the texts and and so they're jolted awake. That endorphins that run through their brain are now, so yeah.
I don't have any notification on my phone.
Oh.
Everything is turned off, including anything. Only I don't want to see any red things telling me I have like this many waiting for me. Because I don't know about you, but for me, it's like if some work is waiting, I need to get it done. So those red things telling me I have 25, 200 waiting, I can't function. I would like, no, I have to go finish these things because I can't see those. So for that reason, I turned everything off. So it just on my own terms, I open up things and I look at it. So there's no red button training me. Now it's time to get on. Let's go and look at all this, right? So it's me, I structure it, right? This is the time I'm gonna do it. And it's a good model for kids too. Like, this is our time to do this. This is the time to do this. This is the time to read. So if anything, the kids should have books in their bedroom and reading.
I know, like we used to do.
That's what they have to have, and it's healthy. And that's, and also because they're gonna get bored, you know what? They'll go to bed faster. When you read, and it's an activity that you don't like, what do? We put it down and go to bed.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they'll go to bed with that faster. If I was to have a phone in my hand, it won't let me go to bed, right? So it's different.
Right.
Books actually help you fall asleep.
Yeah.
After a while, you're gonna get tired reading, you're gonna fall asleep. So those are really good tips, for parents, right? Anything else you want to say, Lori, before we end our conversation?
Gosh, there's so many. I guess I would, one thing I would also like to say, that another tip for parents that I think has worked for my son and has worked for me, and just miracles, I think, really is developing self-talk, right? So mindful self-talk, I think is another tip I would say is, like I said, just life-changing, because as soon as you start talking to your brain and telling your brain positive things like, I can do this, I will do this, I'm going to do this, or even studying for this certification to become a life coach, learning success
Right.
coach. I've had to really tell my brain I can do this, because testing was scary for me, is scary for me. And I had to change my whole thinking and think, no, it's not, I'm not worried. I'm going to be okay. And this is going to be fine. And so I had to do a lot of that positive self-talk. And I've told my son that for years, but didn't have a label, I guess, to call it. So my tip for parents that I've learned recently is really talking positively to yourself. So what you say you can do, you can do. And what you say you can't do, you can't do. So I constantly would tell my son that, if he would get negative, or as he's learning to read, you are going to read. It is going to happen. Don't worry, it's going to happen. But just the miracles and the mountains that will move if you just can change your brain to that positive self-talk. So that would be another little tip that I'd say. I work with my students, my middle schoolers, I work with them on that all the time. And you'd think they would be like, "Pfft," but they do.
Works.
It
It
works. It
helps. It
works.
helps them.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely helps them. And also parents too, right? If you hear your son or daughter is talking in a self, uh, having the self-talk that's very negative, helping them to change those to positive is very important, because that's the more they say, they're going to invite that into their life, right?
Right.
I used to go around saying I'm stupid when I
Right.
was young. So if I keep saying I'm stupid, who else is going to say I'm not? You know what I mean? You're the only person who should not be saying about yourself stupid.
Right. Right.
Because
Right.
in fact, somebody else says it's okay, that's their opinion. But if you keep saying to yourself, you're stupid, what is that bringing me? Nothing. I'm going to be stupid by the day, getting more
Right.
and more stupid by the day
Right.
by saying that. But kids don't know, right? At 12, what do we know? Very little.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why we have to help them. So thank you, Lori, so much. Thank you
Thank
for sharing all
you.
the tips. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for having me. It was fun to chat.
So there you have it, another interview with our holistic neurogrowth learning success coach, Lori. So one of the things that stood out in her conversation with her is the fact that she said the video games and the technology that her son's playing has helped him reduce his anxiety. So if you have a child who struggles with anxiety or suffering with anxiety, it might be something you can try. Because always we talk about screen time and playing video games or playing on the phone as a bad thing, but for her son, it has helped him to reduce his anxiety. Why? Because in the game, they're going to fail, they're going to face difficulties, they're going to face not winning. So all of those things, they have to go through their emotions and get anxious and angry, and then they need to bring themselves down, because the game is helping them do that. So that's a very good perspective on using games. So if you have, as I said, a child that's suffering with it, you might want to try this, but always set a balance and boundaries. Even if they're doing screen time, always have your values, household rules that dictates how that balance and boundary should look like. It's different for each family. So decide what that is and implement in your family. And she also shared how teachers, parents don't see the teacher's side, teachers don't see the parent's side. So there's always this gap of misunderstanding. But as I always say, at the end of the day, nobody else in this equation matters other than the child that's in the middle who's getting affected by all of this. So we need to protect the children. We only have ultimately one mission, which is to make sure that the child is protected, and we help them to push through anything that they're dealing with. Thank you, and I'll see you in another episode.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Our purpose for this episode was to spark a reevaluation of the current education system. For more episodes offering practical and comprehensive strategies to enhance learning, please visit www.learningsuccessacademy.com. It is crucial to ensure that children have access to the holistic NeuroGrowth learning approach, enabling them to break free from the constraints of an outdated educational framework. This is your opportunity to gain insight and break away from a flawed system, setting your children on a path to lifelong success that truly nurtures their thirst for knowledge. That's all for now. We look forward to having you join us for the next episode.